What made you think of this idea for a film?
Well, I had a gloriously demented moment, and the film is all shot on Sado Island, which is an island off the northwest coast of Japan, and there's a film commission on the island. The island has a lot of problems because it's depopulating very, very rapidly.
Right.
And they want tourists to come to the island.
Right.
And the tourist board said, let's set up a film commission. And we met the guy from the film commission. He came to Tokyo to look for filmmakers to come and make a film on Sado, and I was the only person crazy enough to go and do it. And he said, come on, we'll drive you around the island and show you the locations. And so it grew out of that, basically. He said, this nice guy said, please come and shoot a film on Sado Island. And Sado Island is really incredibly interesting. It's just a very rich, in culture and history. It is the place where a lot of dissidents were exiled. The lyrics of the songs are the lyrics of the No playwright Zeami, who was exiled there. The central character is based on the Emperor Juntoku, who was exiled there, who was a poet. Nichiren, the Buddhist leader, who set up his own sect of Buddhism. He was exiled there, and it's got this very strange. It's very extreme. The summer is boiling hot. So the forest, you can see that it has these beautiful 1,000-year-old trees, and then in the winter the island just completely shuts down, and it's really freezing cold. I mean, it's really, you don't really understand how bloody cold it is, and how cold we were doing this, and it was the coldest winter in 52 years.
Wow.
Yeah, and so that was it basically. It really was a sort of crazy idea. It's logistically really difficult because it's kind of expensive to get to the island, and then when you get there, you're quite isolated. But I just fell in love with the place. I thought it's beautiful island, and I don't know. I mean, we said to the guys at the film commission, I don't think that this is going to necessarily bring tourists to the island. We thought, but I mean, but actually they were kind of a bunch of wacky young guys, and they really liked the idea. And they just said, no, this is the one to do. I had other ideas as well, and they said, no, we want to do the one about the rock singer. It's okay. We'll explain it to our bosses.
But excuse me for a minute, John. Tell us a bit about yourself, because pardon me for being. Don't take this as being racist, but you look nor sound nothing like someone from Japan, and yet this is billed as a Japanese film.
Yeah.
Tell us about yourself and how you ended up in Tokyo. Now you sound Japanese. Right. Of course. But this is not the first film you've had at Raindance, and this, having seen this, is quite a departure for you to filmically. Tell us briefly about your first film at Raindance.
That was quite a long time ago, and and thank you for having that film, because that was such an important thing for me, because I made that film completely with my own money, having no idea what happened to a film after it was finished.
Right.
And Raindance was the only festival that picked it up, and because I had a film in a festival, and it was so exciting, and the people who had helped me make the film were so excited. They said, "We'll give you money to make your next film."
Hey, cool.
So so it's very Raindance did me an enormous kind of service, really.
But you've been living in Tokyo for some time. Just explain. You're from, is it Huddersfield?
I'm from Wales. Llantrisant.
Pardon me.
Llantrisant.
Llantrisant. All right.
The whole with the mint.
So how does a Welshman end up in Tokyo?
That's a long story, but I basically, it was the short story. The short answer is Mrs. Thatcher, the weather, and the fact that Japan was just so appealing as of somewhere that's completely different from where I grew up, and sort of dark, dim, dingy late 80s in Britain. It was very hard to get into the film industry, and I didn't think, I'll go to Japan and become a filmmaker. I thought, I'll go to Japan and make lots of money because it's the bubble and the economy's really good. I'll make lots of money and then I'll come back and make a film in Britain. And then when I got to Japan, everything's completely different from what I thought. My image of Japan was, Kurosawa films, Mizoguchi Ozu, and I ended up living in basically a red light district in the Docklands, in the Birmingham of Japan, Nagoya. And I went to where I would eat was in this karaoke bar run by a midget hunchback and his dwarf wife who fell asleep in the toilets. So it's very politically incorrect, but this is true. And it was like being in a Tom Waits movie or an early Imamura Shohei film or something. And that's the film that I made a film about that place.
Right.
That was a film that came to Raindance. And
yes.
Somebody said, maybe it was you, said this is this side of Japan that we don't see in the tourist brochures.
True.
Yeah. So.
And then I came to visit you in Tokyo, and you took us to some of those places, if I recall.
Yes, but maybe not quite as impressive as the place in Nagoya.
No, but the similarity between Wales and Sado is there are hills and mountains, I suppose.
Yes, I mean obviously, I'm a country boy actually. Really, I grew up in the countryside, and so my second film, my first real feature film, was a film set in the deep countryside in Horaicho, which is like an Ozu film, and it's very different. It's a story about a young girl and an old lady and their friendship, and it's very sort of golden and lyrical. But those, the places and remote places and the kind of connection between people and landscapes is something that I'm really interested in. And so, and some people say, your first film, your second film, they're all completely different. What's going on? You're kind of schizophrenic, but thematically, I think there's always this interest in. Well, I'm really interested in remote places and people's connection to those places, and how you especially now living in Tokyo, which I love. I mean, I love living in an urban environment, but sometimes when you go to Sado, you really get in touch with something else. That's kind of a bit new agey, and I don't mean it like that, but it gives you something.
So what's your next project?
I have a project set in Thailand, which is an English language film. It's a kind of a suspense chase drama. It's a much more conventional kind of film.
Right.
I have another film I want to do on Sado. A documentary about an Englishman who lived in Japan in the 20s and 30s and was interned in the concentration camps, then went back to Japan for the war crimes trials, and then became Mr. Whiskey on Japanese TV.
Wow.
And so he had this really interesting life. So I've got a documentary about him. I've got the option on a very interesting book about a man who was in the war in China and then came back to Japan and saved a breed of dog from extinction.
That sounds like a Hollywood movie, sort of
That is
like
a
Glenn
kind of-
Close and
that's-
Tom Hanks.
Yeah, that's a more kind of broad appeal kind of commercial film. So I've got a few projects that I
cool.
want to do.
And can you just tell us briefly what the future of Sado Tempest is? What other festivals, etc.?
Sado Tempest, it's I don't know about festivals yet, but we're going to release it in Japan probably around the time we shot it next year, and hopefully do some kind of mini kind of art house run here in Britain, maybe the ICA or something. And we're going to try and bring across, you don't really see them in the films, but the masks and everything are based on this onidaiko, which is a dance with drums, which is very, very primitive and really interesting. And we want to bring across an onidaiko, a group,
Oh, that's cool.
and get them in locations around London and film them and try and make a film.
Yeah.
And
Well,
then-
that's cool.
Yeah.
So do you guys think this film would play? Do you think people would pay money at the ICA to see Sado Tempest?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes?
Cool.
Yeah.
Do any of you have a question for John? Yeah, in the front.
In the caption, I saw you got the lyric from Yamamba.
Yes.
The no
Yes.
play. Why did you pick Yamamba?
Yamamba was the no lyrics are from Yamamba mainly, and also Sumidagawa, which are both no plays by Zeami. I know there is some discussion about whether Zeami, the no playwright who was exiled on Sado, actually wrote Yamamba or not, but from what
Sumidagawa is not by Zeami.
Sumidagawa is not by Zeami, Yamamba is by Zeami.
Yamamba.
Yes, yes.
But why did you pick Yamamba?
I picked Yamamba because of the lyric about, well, because of the lyrics, about the storm and the demon, and because it was about a demon and about and then because of the last line, which of course in Japanese is a bit mysterious, but which was translated in English as then come, then quickly sing. So, you know, I just picked that piece. And Yamamba struck me as being one of the oddest of the No plays, just a very strange play.
Good question. Anyone else?
It's hard to see.
It is hard to see. Sorry. Yeah, shout out. We can't see this light. Yes, yes, you there. Yes.
Hey, how much were you influenced by Shakespeare's The Tempest in this? I mean, obviously there are connections there I saw.
Yeah.
But I mean, in terms of like bringing these kind of like Eastern and kind of Western things together, I mean, did you in your mind have a way of weighting them, or?
I started out trying to write it as a very straight adaptation of The Tempest, and I did actually do a couple of versions like that. And then I found that the play, although I like the play very much, I think kind of structurally it's a really non-cinematic play, because it starts with a huge amount of exposition, and then it has the subplot that doesn't go anywhere, and then it kind of ends very abruptly without any real exploration of what's going on inside Prospero. So, you know, although it's a fantastic and very mysterious play, I couldn't really quite see how it would work as a film. And then I started taking it to pieces, and I thought, well, what if everything had gone wrong in The Tempest? What if the storm had kind of not worked out?
That's so smart.
And so it's like The Tempest upside down, if you like. So, you know, Caliban's plot to overthrow Prospero went right, so Caliban is now in charge. Miranda has gone crazy. Prospero has disappeared. Ariel has gone underground. You know, so everything is kind of broken. It's a broken down Tempest. At one point, I thought I'll call it Broken Down Tempest. But the people on Sado really wanted to have Sado in the title. So
and they paid a lot of money for that too, I guess.
Yeah, well, you know.
A bit of money.
Yeah. I mean, it's not so much the money, because it's not a very rich island. It's more about the heart, you know, the heart and the soul and the blood and the sweat of the people.
So did they say to you, John, take these fish and make a film? Something like that?
They didn't. They did, but every night they brought us fish. I mean, seriously, this was like, if you ever want to go to summertime for the Earth celebration, which is the Kodal drumming festival, or go in the winter, get wrapped up really warm, and just go and eat the best fish that you've ever had in your life. You can eat in just a local restaurant. You can eat 20 kinds of fish in one night, and it's like paradise.
And they make a film in the.
And then in the daytime make a film, you know. And the sake is very good too.
All right,
Yeah.
all right. I've been with John in Tokyo, and I can tell you from personal experience, he's an expert in sake. So, anyone else? We have time for just a couple more questions. Anybody else? Yes, over here.
Did you cast the film on the island, or did you take the whole cast and crew with you from Tokyo?
We took all the central characters from Tokyo, so we all kind of decamped to the island. The band and everybody else, all the other actors are all Tokyo actors. All the extras, and not that there are that many of them, are all guys who work in the local civil service office. So they're all, you know.
So was it one of these, give us some money and we'll put you in the film type of deals with the civil service?
No, it was like, can you help us find some extras? But, you know, most of the people in the island are over 60, and they didn't want to be kind of on the beach for 7 hours in kind of flimsy clothing. So the guys in the local town hall said, okay, it's okay, we'll do it. You know? And so they came along, and one guy, the guy with the shaved eyebrows, he's actually kind of a senior kind of clerk. And I said, you know, I think you'd look a lot tougher if you shaved your eyebrows off. And his boss said, no, can't do that. No, we serve the public, you know. And the next day he came back, he shaved his eyebrows off.
That's so funny. Yeah. Good questions here. Time for 2 more. Anyone else? Yes, was there one over here? Yes, sir.
How easy was it directing actors that don't speak your native language? And
Or who have
I
shaved
don't
their
know how
eyebrows.
good your Japanese is, but could you get the nuance from their performance in Japanese? Did you have someone helping you?
No, I don't. I mean, I think I like to talk to the actors directly, And so I don't think it's easy directing actors in English either. Not because actors are difficult people, but because it's a delicate thing. You're handling a very complex mechanism when you're trying to work with another human being to kind of get something that you want. And so, you know, in this film, for some parts, I wasn't looking for very modulated performances. The first film, I was very obsessed with getting real intensity of emotion and really kind of find from the old lady and the young girl. But this is more like a kind of manga style. So I wasn't really, and we had a very tight schedule.
How many days? How many days? Shooting days?
We shot about 20 days.
Wow, that's fast.
Yeah,
that's fast.
Yeah, and it was pretty short days because, you know, the sun went down quite quickly, and then it was, you know, it was very intense. And then 5 days into the shoot, the tsunami and the earthquake and the Fukushima reactor.
Oh my God!
It was last year.
Wow.
And that all happened. That was all on the other side of Japan. We were shooting in the building that's all kind of falling to bits, and you know, it was, I mean, we were really lucky, but. Because that building was.
I'm going to stand a little further away from you. You might be radiating.
Well, we were, you know, for a couple of days we had no idea what was going on. We were seeing these images on the TV, and we were, you know, it's the end of the world. Should we stop shooting? Should we go back to Tokyo? Should we ask our friends and family to leave Tokyo? We heard that all the French had been airlifted out, and all the Germans had been airlifted out. Then we were hearing all these rumours that, you know, it's not safe, the cloud is moving towards you on Sado, and it started to rain. What should we do? What should we do? And eventually, you know, the producer who's here tonight, Paul, he was very sensible. He sort of checked.
By the way, where's Paul? Where's Paul?
He's up the back there.
Hey, Paul, you should come down and just say hi because you helped make this thing happen. You want to do that? He's shy. He's a producer.
Yeah.
Big round of applause for Paul who made this film happen. Thank you, Paul.
Paul actually flew out. He was the only foreigner flying into Japan.
Yeah, I'm just going to... Oh, well done, guys. One last question. They're going to kick us out in a minute and turn the lights off, but anyone else?
They're all hands.
I can't see the hands. Just shout.
Right
White in the middle, yes.
I guess this is kind of related to the last question in a way. Speaking about language, I live in Tokyo myself. How do you see culturally and also creatively Japan's adoption of English from primary school? How do you think that introduction of English will change the creative landscape in Japan?
Well, that's a good question.
In say 10 years' time.
I don't think it will have any effect whatsoever on the creative landscape in Japan. The creative landscape in Japan grows out of Japanese language and culture, and I don't think English education is going to make anybody any more creative. I mean, there's so much creativity in Japan. It's not going to have any detrimental effects either. It'd be great if more people in Japan spoke English, simply because then they'd be able to speak to more people, but it's not, I don't think, you know, to me it's not really an issue. Yeah.
No crystal ball.
I don't know. I have no idea what's going to happen. One thing I can say is that because of the tsunami and the earthquake, I think we're seeing a much more serious kind of Japanese cinema emerging now. In some ways, this film was, you know, it's sort of really quite a light film, and a bit flip in retrospect in relation to what actually happened. And, you know, but in some senses I've seen seen a few films recently that are really tackling political and social problems again, mainstream films, and they weren't there a couple of years ago. Everybody was very complacent. So, you know, there have been some, I think, despite the, you know, terrible tragedy and loss, there have been some positive effects on the creative landscape. Yeah.
Well, thank you, John. And by the way, a few thank yous. First of all, to Kiyomi, our programmer from Japan. Kiyomi, do you want to stand up and just take a bow? Please, come on, Kiyomi. Kiyomi knows more about Japanese cinema than anyone in Japan. Thank you, Kiyomi. And thank you to the Japan Foundation and Junko for helping make our Japanese strand so good. They've supported us for about 5 years. And I need to ask you guys a favor, which is, this film's playing again, is it not?
It's playing again on Monday, yes.
Monday?
Yeah.
Do you know what time?
3 or 3:30.
In the early afternoon. Please get on Facebook and Twitter and tell your mates if you liked it. If you don't, of course, be silent. But if you do like it, just tweet it out. It really, really works. Our attendance this year has been the highest ever in our 20 years history of Raindance, and it's down to you guys tweeting and Facebooking. And please join me in giving a big late night thank you to John and Paul for Sado Tempest. Thank you guys. Thank you very much.